Today was all about changing fractions to decimals and decimals to fractions and really working with terminating decimals and repeating decimals. So first of all, we need to know our new vocab words. A terminating decimal we defined today in class as a decimal that stops or ends. That would be any decimal like this, where the last number, it stops or ends eventually. It didn't keep going on forever. Or negative 3.42876. That one stops. It could go on for a while still yet, but as long as it stops eventually, it is a terminating decimal. A repeating decimal is one that goes on forever and it repeats. So that would be anything like 0.55555, and to show that it goes on forever, we'd put the ... To write a repeating decimal, whatever is repeating, you put a bar over top. It's called bar notation. It's just a line over the top to show that the 5 repeats on forever. Okay? Another one could be like negative 6.343434, and it would go on forever. And so we'd have negative 6, and over the 3, 4, you put a line. Now if you have something like this, 0.12464646, you don't put a bar over the 1, 2, only over the numbers that repeat. Okay? Next part, changing a fraction to a decimal. Well, we know that the fraction bar means division, and so you're going to take 4 divided by 11. And to do that, we'll do long division. 4 goes on the inside. What we're dividing by goes on the outside. Okay? And we can't take 11 into 4. We can't put 11 into 4. So what we have to do is we have to add more numbers in. Now really we haven't changed this number at all because it's still 4, since 4.000 is still 4. But now we can bring our decimal straight up and say, how many times does 11 go into 40? Well, 11 goes into 40 3 times, which would be 33. You subtract out 40 minus 33 is 7. And when you do this, you keep going down, which it would be 66. Then you'd get 4. Put your 6 up here. Bring down your 0. 33. Then we get 7. You can add another 0 in if you need to. It'd be 66 again. And you should notice something. It actually goes on to repeat. So when we would write this, our answer would be 0.36 repeating. Now, the next one, there are 2 different ways to do this. And one way that a lot of students like to do is you would take, and I'm actually going to change this. I want some nicer numbers for you to work with. And so we're going to use 3/8 instead. Okay? I like to use some nice numbers when we're learning how to do things. And so one way that you can do it, I've had students change this into an improper fraction, and so you do 8 times 2 is 16 plus 3 would give you negative 19 over, and you keep the same denominator. So it'd be 8. You can do that and take 19 divided by 8. But another way that you can do this is you can look at these separately. So we have our integer and we have our fraction. And so when you do this, find the fraction like normal off to the side. 3, add in some zeros, and your 8. 8 goes into 33 times, which is 24. When you subtract, it'd be 6. 8 goes into 67 times. Then you'd have 4. 8 goes into 45 times. You'd bring your decimal straight up where it was. And now the only difference is instead of putting a 0 out front, we're going to use our whole number, -2. So our answer would be -2.375. So whenever you change a fraction to a decimal, always use long division. Okay? The next one I think is easier. All you have to do to change a decimal to a fraction is you have to go to the last place value, see what place value it is. 8 is in the 10ths place, and so you'd put 8 over 10. Now you want to keep your negative, and the book wants you to simplify, so you have to find what number goes both into 8 and 10. Divide by 2, divide by 2, and so you would get 8 divided by 2, actually it's -8 divided by 2 would be -4, 10 divided by 2 is 5, and so that would be your most simplified answer. Same thing on the next one. Look at the last digit, what place value it's in, and that's what it goes over. This is the hundredths place, and so it would go over 100. Again, simplify, so on this one you'd want to divide by what number goes into both, and since they end in a 5 and 0, you know 5 goes into both of them. You could always use your multiplication chart to help you to see what goes into both. Look for a column that both has 35, and 100, and so 5 has both 35 and 100, so I know 5 goes into both of them. And so that would become 7, and this would become 20. And again, you can look at that. 5 go down to 35. Okay, 7 times 5 go down to 100, and that would be 20. So there's your answer.